good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us. My name is Zach Allison, as you might know. I'm with the ATS SpecTool team here and run our ATS University program. If this is your first time, this is a usually weekly program, but this week we're getting a double tap, just like the Jays. Hopefully we can go back to back with great presentations here. And this is our ATS University, where we talk about the products that are available on the ATS SpecTool. If this is your first time, you might be unfamiliar, but SpecTool is a product selector, configurator, and provider of great download and output formats that you can integrate directly into your project delivery. So we'll show you at the end of the presentation how you can find some of the products that we are discussing today, how you can configure them to meet exactly your project's requirements, and then download them in, a schedule for Excel, PDF, multiple different PDF formats, multiple different Word formats, Revit files that, are all designed to fit however you go to market with your project. It's designed to fit in as seamlessly as possible. So we'll show you that at the end of the presentation. As with all of our presentations, this is recorded. I'll also show you how you can find either recording for this or the other previously recorded sessions that we do have. And we'll be sure to, show everyone how they can access those. In addition, at the end of the week, we always try to get our certificates of attendance out to the folks that join us, so that you can handle any sort of self-reporting that you may wish to do. With that all being said, I'm excited to have you, Sonny. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, excited to be here.
Yeah, so Sonny's joining from the New Era team. We have been, if you're unfamiliar with ATS and our history, we have been probably more plumbing focused for most of our, I think, 50-ish years now. I should probably know the exact number, but when you get over 50, you stop counting till you hit the decades. But we've been plumbing focused for most of that time, and we have been requested for as long as I've been with the company to start getting some of the HVAC products, some of the ERVs, even some people asking for electrical and lighting products on the SpecTool. Looking for more and more products that we can help engineers configure and deliver to their project deliveries. So we're happy to have New Era jump on the system and add some of the HVAC lineup to us, so that we can, assist engineers with selecting their ERVs, whether it be for light commercial or residential, which I know we're going to cover today. So with that all being said, I'll generally mute up throughout the conversation. If any questions come up, you can put it into the Q&A tab or the chat tab, and I'll bring them up to Sonny as we are going through the presentation, so we can keep it topical. And with that all be said, I'll pass it over to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Zach. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for taking the hour out of your day. And for some of you, it's lunchtime, which is my favorite time of the day, but that's going to have to wait another hour. But my name's Sonny Prada. I'm the National Sales Manager at New Era, and we're proud to partner with ATS Software and bring you this webinar and this product overview and the great demo that Zach's going to show you after this. Today, we're going to cover air exchangers, ERVs and HRVs, right from residential to what we call commercial or compliant. It's going to be a quick overview, but it'll give you an idea of what there is to, when we look at the SpecTool, what there is to specify into your projects that require ventilation. So let's get started. Just a little bit of background on New Era. We've been around since 1992. We're based out of Windsor, Nova Scotia, and over the years we've worked with, it's not quite 50 years, but over the years we've worked with engineers, designers, wholesalers, builders, developers, contractors, and homeowners. And we continue to work with wholesalers and contractors. And really, our partnership with ATS, we want to become specified on projects, and that's our goal, and that's why we're partnering with a great company like ATS. Our mission, I want to go over our mission and our values, because not only are they new to us as we kind of rebrand the company, but I think they're important to kind of go over, just to kind of give you guys an idea of kind of who we are and what we're trying to achieve. So I'm going to read them verbatim. We are a resilient and innovative Canadian manufacturer that designs and builds ventilation equipment We are partners with the engineering community to deliver quality products matched with our exceptional customer service. Our people care about the growth of the company. Our people define our success, and we work every day to add wealth for all stakeholders. And then our values, which we sat around in a room and said, what are our values and what can we put out there to our stakeholders? And really, we are committed to safety. We value the wellness of all staff. We apply open and honest communication with all stakeholders. And this is a big one. Our goal is to be specified or spec'd and designed 100% of the time. It's a lofty goal, but it's there. Our employees are accountable for the decisions they're empowered to make. We look for smarter and more efficient ways to do things every day. We are committed to giving back to our community. Our customers' success is our success, and we value professional development through continuous improvement and learning. So I really wanted to get that out there. I think it's the second time that I've been able to say it in an actual presentation, but I'm proud and happy to be able to kind of say that to the audience today, because it's something that we want to really represent as we move out there into the field. I want to talk a little bit about process. The slide shows from left to right: design, build, and deliver. And really, as a Canadian manufacturer out of a small town in Windsor, Nova Scotia, our engineering approach is focused on efficiency, robustness, and simplicity. And really, we want to ensure we have a competitive, price competitive product, and we source all the best quality products that are out there so that we can build these units and, most importantly, deliver. So, COVID has come and gone. Supply chain issues have not. We really try to communicate with our customers to make sure that, through this whole design, build, and deliver process, we have everything we need to make when we need it and deliver to our customers when they want it. So it's a very important process to us. It's simple. It works. It's the way we're going to grow our business. So I just wanted to let you guys know that from the engineering or the design side. Let's get into the residential side. As Zach mentioned, we're going to cover some residential air exchangers and then get into some light commercial and then what we call compliant or commercial, up to 4,000 CFM. So just to kind of give you a footnote there where we're going to head towards the end of this product presentation. And I want to concentrate on this family of what you see here of ERVs. When we talk about multifamily, mid, single, really we're talking about a small, compact, reversible unit that is really good for multifamily, in ceiling, or small mechanical rooms. And from left to right, you'll see that the model numbers, 95, 115, and 135. So we basically, when we look at Canada as a whole, and I mean even North America, but let's just take Canada from a building code perspective. There's certain building codes in certain provinces and requirements for air exchangers. Ontario being the strictest, and the rest of the country probably not as strict. But when we look at this family of ERVs, we have a unit for every part of the country, and that's what I wanted to kind of get out there. And the next slide will show you kind of, where and when it should be used. And when we look at the 95, 115, and 135, there's obviously airflow. You go up in airflow when you get the bigger number. Same footprint, same dimensions. You can see at 0.3 static pressure, kind of the CFM airflow that it gives. And then what we're looking at really is the difference between the 95, 115 versus the 135 is we're using PSC motors as opposed to ECM motors. And when we get into the ECM side, we recognize and realize higher efficiency. So when we talk about Ontario in particular, they require that 75% SRE and other certain requirements. The SC135 is kind of the flagship product. When we talk about the rest of the country, the 135 can be used, but the 115 and 95, when we look at ventilation airflow requirements, can be used also. And keep in mind that when you drop from an ECM to a PSC motor, there's also a cost drop, which is we're not going to talk about much today, but is very important when the project is landed and when they put it in. The contractor, developer, builder is looking for the least expensive costs. How can we get that cost down? When we look at these ERVs, yes, they're all the same. The very cool thing is a couple of cool things about our stuff is they're made out of aluminum as opposed to galvanized steel, which makes it very lightweight, under 25 pounds. 22 pounds, I think, to be exact, once it's out of the box. And one key thing that we have, and we have a patent that I'll show you in the next few slides, is that they're reversible out of the box. So typically our competition will have multiple SKUs. That'll be a regular configuration, a mirror, or a reverse. Our unit will do it all in one unit, so all in one SKU. So you don't have to worry about when you're looking at plans and bathrooms that are back to back in buildings, or even how are we going to vent these things, and how are we going to do the ducting. We have a lot of flexibility because we have 4 different configurations, which I will show you right now. So for example, let's say this is the SC135. It could be the 115 or the 95. You see the power and the controls up top. In this configuration, we're going to have 2 different ways we conduct this. And you say, how do we do that? Well, we have thermistors that we put into the units that are always going to recognize the cold or the supply side. So really, you could mess this up in field and it'll auto correct itself. But in this configuration with the power up top, you're going to have two different ways you conduct it. And then when you rotate it 180 degrees, you'll also have 2 different configurations. So there's 4 ways you conduct this. A lot of flexibility in field, in the mechanical room, in the ceiling, whatever that is. This one unit will do it all, as opposed to having to have a mirror or reverse unit like the competitors. This is the patent that we have for the reversibility. So there might be, I'm going to say, I think 1, maybe 2 now units where you can flick a switch and it might reverse this the configuration, but ours is the only one that can do it kind of, I don't want to say real time, but really, once you hook it up, it's going to recognize the cold side and the supply and know exactly where supply and exhaust is. So I wanted to focus a little bit on the SC135 ERV because this is kind of our flagship product out of all of it. When we say we check all the boxes, I talked about the SRE at 75% plus, the 55% at -25, very efficient unit, and also, at 0.2 static pressure, 150 CFM. So when we look at builds these days, stacked townhomes, multifamily buildings, low rise, high rise, I mean, that 190 to 120, 30, 40, this is a unit that can do it all. You can see the low profile, so it's going to fit nicely within the ceilings and drop downs, and also in small mechanical rooms. Being an ERV, there's no drain. We talked about the reversibility of the unit, the lightweight of the unit. So in terms of installation, when we talk about, labor and installation, we do really, when we're doing our research and development and we're designing these things, we're keeping in mind what the contractor has to go through when they're inside that mechanical room or in the unit and they're installing these units. So the lightweight, and of course, price is right. When we look at that, we have to make sure that that's priced correctly, so that, again, if it is specified, that it holds the spec all the way through to the installation and doesn't get stolen because of a less expensive unit or more cost-effective unit. So we try to cover all the bases, and the 135 is kind of our flagship out of that family of ERVs, including the 95 and the 150. This is a new unit. This is going to be uploaded to the SpecTool very soon, maybe even this week or early next week. But this is kind of what you saw in the previous screens is side port flat style ERV. We had some, we look at our customers and what they're asking for, and we talk about product development. And of course, we wanted to stay on the ERV front as opposed to the HRV. But this time we decided to do like a small cube or a top port. The nice thing is, still made out of aluminum, lightweight, has the reversibility, so the thermistors are in there. It's a small unit, it's a light unit. It can be hung in small mechanical rooms, tucked away tightly, and with the reversibility, some very good flexibility on the ducting. This is a unit we really haven't promoted it yet, but we have a lot of people that are asking for it and already putting it in projects just because of its size and its flexibility and its functionality with the reversing and being lightweight. So we'll see in the other slide. These comes with hanging straps, but this is, being 25 pounds or a little bit less, a lot easier than putting a 50-pound unit up. sometimes the difference between one installer as opposed to two when you look at the steel units. All right, traditional single family. So what we're talking about here now, we're getting into some HRVs because these are kind of, I wouldn't say legacy products, but they're definitely, HRVs when the code came in back in the day where you had to have an air exchanger. You didn't really see ERV spec'd in. It was always HRVs. We do have HRVs. We have one, two, three that are shown here, the NU145H, the ES100H, and the ES160H. Still, very good sellers. I wouldn't say, not so much on multifamily projects because of the, kind of the more square box style top port. But definitely still a market for these all across Canada. There's no, we can't really single it anywhere. They kind of buy them everywhere. And then the SC182 is an ERV and kind of borderlines that light commercial, up around 200 CFM, I think at 0.3 or 0.4 static pressure. But again, more for like a custom home or a bigger home, which we find are not being built as much today, but still there unless you need that extra CFM.
Just
Some
a
key
quick
features.
question coming in actually, just before we get
Sure.
too far along. I think it was back a slide or two ago when you were talking about that the new product that has the top port. Um, were the efficiencies of the new top port the same as the side ports?
So the 75 plus, at minus 25, I think it hits somewhere around 52 or 53%. So there might be, in terms of depending on who is asking the question and where they design, there might be issues with that with the OBC, the Ontario Building Code, but nowhere else. I don't know if that answers the question.
Okay. And then kind of, I guess more of a comment now. It was originally raised as a question asking if you could relate the efficiencies of some of these products to that OBC SB10 and the efficiency requirements. And then they came back to say that you were reading their mind, and thank you for that. So more of a comment
Awesome.
there.
Yeah, that's probably the reference to the SRE at 0 degrees and 30 liters per second, and then the minus 55. Yeah, it's kind of silly that it is what it is in Ontario and everywhere else is kind of different. It's just, I mean, I don't really want to comment too much on that except for it is a pain in the butt for everybody, but either way, we're trying to develop products that are, that we can use in every region because we understand, even though Ontario is not building that much right now, but of course we hope that that'll change as we move forward. All right, where was I? Some key features, guys. Kind of went over a lot of this, but lightweight because of the aluminum. They come with the straps. They're not chains. Because of the lightweight of our equipment, the straps work perfectly fine. Mounting brackets for the flat style ones. Keep in mind, some people want to put them on the wall. They want to put them in the ceiling. They come with mounting brackets so that they can be put in, like for example, in multifamilies, you're going to put them in a bathroom with a little door there. They're going to, be mounted into the ceiling. Differential pressure port. So we'll talk about balancing on the next slide. There's no dampers in here. They're not self-balancing. Remember, if we refer back to the slide where I said simplicity, and then deliver and build and really keep the price point down. We found, yes, people want self-balancing, and that really is an excuse not to balance the units, which is a disservice to the design and to the customer, and actually is not code, right? And the code says you shall balance your units, not in that particular way, but if you read it, and you really should be doing it for the customer in terms of how the unit should work and the ideal comfort settings, and what the unit is there for to exchange air and control humidity. But when we look at our balancing, you'll see in the bottom right-hand corner, there's a manometer, kind of an old style, but there's all different kinds now, digital ones. We have two buttons where the terminal blocks are, and you'll see that kind of these two buttons right here. There's a fresh and exhaust. You put your manometer on there, and essentially what you do is you hold the fresh, say for 3 seconds. It'll activate it, and you click down until you reach the where you want to be at first for your supply, and then you do the same thing for exhaust. So you change your ports, you go across and press exhaust. 3 seconds, it'll activate it, click, 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 and here's where I need to be. Let it go, it'll save, and it'll save both of those settings, and your unit is balanced, right? So that said, you see the terminal blocks here. These are terminal blocks. Once the unit is hung up, you can actually do the wiring on the ground. If you've ever installed units like this or tried to put a piece of wire into one of these with a small screwdriver, and you got to do it over your head, it's a pain in the butt. So do the wiring on the ground, click it in, nice, safe, easy. So when we talk about lightweight, hanging it, installation is easy. One person can do it. One thing we do give you is we give you a 24-volt contact. Sometimes you guys will be designing with third-party thermostats. We will go over some controls in the next few slides that are our controls, but if you need to have an Ecobee or a Nest or even some sensors, there is a 24-volt dry contact that will be able to connect to those certain things. And I think I get into the controls right here. So this is the main wall control. So this would be the main wall control that would sit next to the thermostat, whether it be a smart thermostat or a regular thermostat for your heating and cooling. And you can see it's a 4-wire 12-volt. Along the top are your kind of residential controls. Keep in mind, this is a control that you can use for light commercial when we go into that in a few slides. The bottom three are more for the light commercial settings, but on board you have your 20, 40, 60 timer, your humidistat, and adjustable maintenance clock. Recirc modes can be disabled or non-dampened models. That's more for the light commercial. Excuse me. Additional control options. So a lot of the times it'll be a main controller with a 20, 40, 60 timer in the bathrooms, depending on what kind of design it is. So the NAV 460 is a 3-wire 24-volt 20, 40, 60-minute speed timer. Some traditional, more older legacy, I guess, timers and humidistats you'll see kind of on the second row there. And then again, we talked about 24-volt contact for smart thermostat, simple switching, and sensors like VOC, CO2, occupancy sensors, etc. One of the things that we just launched, so this is kind of the upgrade from the NAV 561, which is the main wall control. More aesthetically pleasing, digital touchscreen LED. Not Wi-Fi, but still connected, relative humidity, temperature. Just a nicer unit if it's a higher end job or if it's a custom home or whatever, something that looks better than that white thing that sits back next to your thermostat. And if you were using an Ecobee or a smart thermostat, something that would kind of match, that as opposed to having that white control right next to a fancy smart stat. All right. Zach, before I go on to light commercial, is there any other questions that have come up?
Yeah, one other question just came up. Do you supply commercial HRVs up to like the 1,000, 1,200 CFM range of capacity? I think you mentioned earlier on that we're kind of building up to that larger commercial.
Perfect. That's exactly what we're doing. Right now in the next screen, it's exactly what we're going to do.
Perfect. There we go.
So light commercial H and ERV. So keep in mind when we're talking about these are available in HRV and ERV, and really the difference is the core. The core is different always in an HRV as opposed to an ERV. So when we look at the newer light commercial lineup, we kind of look at that 180 to 1800 CFM. This is the lineup that you see here. So the NU 305 all the way up to the NU 1600. Couple things to note if you're kind of looking. You'll notice that the top 3 units all the way up to the 600 are really lightweight for a light commercial unit. I mean, you look at the NU 500, 55 pounds, that's the size. I mean, the weight of a normal competitor's residential unit. Again, aluminum construction up until we get to the 800. You can see just the difference in the color too, right? You get to the steel as opposed to the aluminum. But again, when you're doing like commercial installations, a big benefit in terms of just handling the units and where do you have to put them, where do you hang them, just a lot easier to work with. And when we look at these units, they're very simple. The nice thing is we went over the wiring and the the way that these units are balanced, and it's the exact same way as the residential lineup. So we're not going to go too much into that. But if you look at the nomenclature right here, it's really, there's a couple options. It comes in a standard or reverse configuration. Defrost options are fan shutdown or damper circulation, so it's one of the two. Again, we talked about, is it going to be an HRV or an ERV, and that's the core. The cabinet can be galvanized or aluminum. And then we look at a couple options like a dirty filter contact, an end switch interlock, and then if you need a filter upgrade, standard would be MERV 6, but it upgrade to MERV 8 and MERV 13. That would be an upgrade on this. And when we're presenting to our contractors and our wholesalers, typical lead time, we have that 3 or 4 weeks or less. I would say, industry leading lead times on these units. And for example, we do have a couple of the best sellers that we do kind of house on and build and keep on the floor because we know that they go out. But typical lead time 3 or 4 weeks or less is very quick and probably best in the industry. This kind of just expands or makes it bigger. Taking an NU 1200, for example, this one would have standard configuration, an F, which is a fan shutdown, which is usually the most popular. Damper circulation would require us to put dampers in. And then this one is an L, so latent when we talk about the core. So this will be an ERV as opposed to an HRV. Aluminum and dirty filter contact, yes. End switch interlock, yes. And then 13. So this is being upgraded from a MERV 6 to a MERV 13 filter. These are some of the options we talked about. The timer, the nav 561 is the control for this, but they're also, you guys will know better than me, we see a lot of 7-day programmable stats in designs for light commercial, so that's also available with the light commercial options. So semi-custom. So this is kind of a step up, and what I'll kind of focus on here is ECM 1000. This is our ECM product. I guess when we look at designing with ECM motors, we're seeing a lot more of that. Of course, we want to be designed in. That's kind of the purpose of why we're here today. But a lot of the times it'll be, we have a competitive product that has ECM motors. This is what we'll quote against it. We have some product development that is going on right now to maybe look at an ECM 500, for example. But if you look at the range at 200 to 1000 CFM, it really can be dialed down and dialed up. And this is kind of our ECM product when we look at it. And really it comes in ERV and HRV, and there's a few more defrost options on this. For example, remember we had fan shutdown and damper defrost. This could be none, fan, time fan, and recirculation. So this comes, a little bit more features, some options where that's why we call it semi-custom. The NU 2200, you can see the range there. I think somebody asked, do we get into the 1000 plus CFM? And really, whatever that requirement is, depending on what your design is and what static pressure and airflow you need, that'll determine, obviously which product of these, and do you need an ECM motor, for example? And also, sorry, we'll determine, do we need to go up to our compliant, which I'll go and talk about in a couple slides here. Typical lead time for these units, these are built to order, obviously. Typical lead time, 8 to 10 weeks or less. Again, industry leading lead times, which the deliver part is something that we pride ourselves on and is important to almost everybody down the chain, wholesale, contractor, and owner of the building. Let's get it done. Let's get it in. Some of the things that we're working on with product development, and Zach is going to show you a cross-reference tool. This is going to give us a lot of data on kind of, what our customers are asking us to cross something that's already specified by the competitor. And if we can't cross that, and it becomes a trend, what do we have to look at to make sure that we're developing product that's going to be crossed and be able to give our customers a chance to win that job, steal a job, for example. But stuff that we're working on that we're really close to implementing is heater options, mainly preheat and post-heat. Backnet, we're pretty much there. Some different voltage options. Once you get into the semi-custom and the custom, obviously there's some different ones. And then we talked about added EC or ECM offerings, which we're going to be able to look at what that looks like, and how do we expand that lineup so that we're priced right and we have the right type of unit, not just a unit that can do, that has a huge range. All right, so I'm going to go. There's only a couple of slides left here, guys, on compliant and applied, but this is kind of our real, if we want to call it custom stuff. 800 to 4,000 CFM. Now we start talking about, is it indoor or outdoor? Different configurations. We talk about, even more defrost options. You can see at the bottom here, we got different voltage options. So not just your 115 or your 208. Now we get into 575, 460. Do we need a VFD added to this? Different size motors. So this is a little bit more custom, and obviously built to order. And 8 to 10 weeks, depending, but sometimes 10 to 12 weeks. Still a real, really built quickly and gets out to the customer. So it is an advantage of ours, and I keep on stressing it, but it is something that's important, especially today, where a lot of lead times are really really long with other competitors. So again, what is it that you guys need? Design it, build it. This is more based off a submittal, and it has to be signed off, whereas the residential and the light commercial don't have to. But with this, once it's built and here's what you need, then we'll create that. And I think when you see today, the residential and the light commercial has kind of been launched as phase 1 and phase 2, and then phase 3, which will be next year, will really incorporate this in terms of be able to put design conditions in and spit out the proper product, and then get all your proper submittals and everything you need to design it into to a project. So just keep that in mind when Zach does that today. This is phase 3, which is not completed and hasn't even actually started yet, but we're excited to get phase 1 and phase 2 off the ground. One thing about our units is if we know, what the requirements are for the airflow, we'll actually factory balance them and provide a compliance certificate with the unit and keep one on file. Again, in field, cuts a little bit of time for the contractor, maybe gets them out of there faster, maybe realize some gross profit a little bit more, and just kind of get out of there and make your money. But something small that we do that really does help the end user or the end contractor installer. This is kind of a quick snapshot slide of the competition and kind of really where we play. Remember, up to that 4,000 CFM. It's kind of your usual suspects on the left here. And you keep in mind, we talked about delivery times. There's quotes and technical queries. Obviously, with the partnership with ATS, we want to take a lot of that off our customers. But I mean, from your side, the design side, you're going to see how quick and easy it is to design new air ERV or HRV into your project. But again, you'll see some of the others, delivery times on some of the stuff, and that changes kind of weekly, monthly, quarterly, depending on who you are. But for us, it's pretty common and constant, which is something that we're able to realize a bunch of revenue because of it. All right, Zach, that's the product overview.
Perfect. Let's pause here for a second, see if any additional questions come in. But I think that it's fantastic to see the breadth of the lineup. I think one thing that's been interesting every time I'm talking about new air to engineers, they may not have the history with the brand, and they're always surprised to see the breadth of the lineup that's available. Like the questions that came in where it's like, oh, do you have this size up to this volume of CFM? It's like, yeah, we do. We've got that. We've got all those options available for you, right? So I'm not seeing any other additional questions come in. If anything comes up while kind of in the middle of doing the presentation on the SpecTool, then I'll be sure to take, we can do that. But for now, I'm going to steal your share here. I'm going to steal the cast.
Well, yeah.
I just wanted to show, I've referenced it a couple of times now, the ATS SpecTool. If this is your first time at one of our ATS universities, first off, thanks for joining us. Always appreciated. One of the interesting things that we do is and have done over time is, we build these configuration tools, and I think a lot of people are very familiar with our general ATSspec.com website, but a lot of these tools are now embedded into the manufacturer's website as well. So if you are on the newairventilation.com website and you're going through the different products, maybe reading the brochures or getting a better understanding of some of these products, you can access these tools directly on the New Air website as well. You've got the cross-reference tool that you mentioned up here at the top. We've got the selection and spec software tab here as well. And that will pop open these two tabs here. And the same functionality is embedded and built into the ATS spec tool. So let's start with the cross-reference tool because you mentioned it there. We can go in and search by a specific model number, or we could go through, you mentioned, life tech, reverse life breath. So if we're looking up that, it'll bring up all the different life breath options. You find the model that you're looking at, or type the model number into the search function here. And then as we're going in, select on the one that you have, and it'll recommend the appropriate cross-reference. Now, the great thing about this is, sure, you've got all this information, and that same tool is built into the actual spec tools as well. So while, yes, you can use the cross-reference as a standalone to get that information, you can also use it while you are during the product selection. And I'll show you how to do that really quick. So once you're in the spec tool here, whether this be ATS or the New Air version, this is going to be your dashboard. From here, you would then go and use this quick action bar to create either a quick spec project or a master. Those are just different degrees of folders. They have different rules behind them. They have some different functionality. But really, it's going from quick spec, which is your lightest version. It's just a title. Project, where you are now adding location and you're getting building code information built into the system as well. So location is going to affect which products may or may not be applicable. And then you have your masters, which is products that your applications that you do a lot of work for. So if you have a particular, one condo chain that you work on, one owner group, maybe it's Daniels Corp that you work with all the time, you would set up the standards and preferences for that. And then you can drag and drop it into your individual projects. And we'll show you that functionality. You might have another chain that, does a different type of ERV, and you could set, more guard up with a different standard of acceptance. And I'll show you the functionality here really quick. So, because really, ultimately, the question is, I'm here because I want to get product information and I want to get it fast and I want to be able to put this into my project. So that's our goal. I just type in a quick title. We go into our ERV section here. You can see the most popular one is that SC135 that you mentioned. We'd open this up, and if there's any configuration options, we would make those selections. You can see we've got the new 500 ERV as well. You can select the most popular options. We can reset. We can go and say we want reverse duct with the fan shutdown and the filter and a dry contact. Now, here's the difference between selecting it here versus just downloading the manufacturer's cut sheet. Every single time you are making a selection, you are configuring your product. So you're getting that built up model number. You don't know. Sunny showed and did a great job walking through all those different options, how they correlate to the suffixes. But realistically, we're not going to really remember all that. This is just a nice, clean way to walk through all those options and then get your configured model name and number. That's our goal. So once we're done, we'll hit add product. If there's any additional products, it'll pop up here as part of what we call a fixture chain. So you can see you've got, options on the filters. Let's go, MERV 8 filter, sure. We could skip it as well and just hit complete now. But if we want to add a controls interface, you can see Sunny mentioned that nav 561 main controller. Then we've got that there. And now in a matter of seconds, we're done. So we'd hit complete, and we could go simply to generate our spec documents, select all, or maybe we don't need a brochure, or we don't need Revit on this file, and hit generate documents. I've already downloaded these in ahead of time because Sunny did a great job of flying through, giving me lots of time, but a lot of guys tend to leave me like 5 minutes. So I've shown the configuration here. This is what your configured spec is going to look like. All of our output formats are going to have, again, the configured model name and number. You want to know that what you are specifying is actually the product that you want in your project. And then you've got the manufacturer spec sheets as well. Nice table of contents, configure model name and number. This is going to give you more of the manufacturer spec sheets with all the installation details that you might need. Then we've got a schedule in Excel. Every one of our formats are open and editable. You can copy this and put it directly into your drawings. We've got the written specs in CSI format. We've got written specs in what we call long spec format. And then we've got written specs in kind of, the short format or whatever. All of these formats are really just designed, it's a piece of data that we are then representing in different, output formats. So if there's a version missing that you need for all of your jobs, let us know. I'm sure we're probably already in the process of building it, or maybe we just have it hidden behind something else. But this is generally going to fit most engineers' methods of delivering their project to the market. So then, you may be more familiar with the larger overall ATS SpecTool. If you've been working with us for years on the plumbing side and are just learning that we have gotten into the HVAC side, you can always feel free to reach out to me and my team. We'll be happy to give a deep dive of the system. Because there's a lot of new little niches that you may not be aware of. Even our learning hub here, where we've got our knowledge base section. These are like quick design guides, how to size a grease interceptor, how to select the appropriate sump pump. And then, of course, our webinar recordings as well, where I mentioned, you can find this recording. It'll be on there tomorrow. You can find the previously recorded sessions that we've done. Some of the other HVAC products like the PTAC units that tie in with this ERV type product. Once you're logged in, it's the same dashboard that you were familiar with before. Now we've got some different logos, different colors, all that information, but the same quick actions, quick spec projects, and masters. Again, the difference is the projects is your individual location, and the masters would be either your internal firm's masters. We want to align with those. By having them built on here, we can actually send discontinuation notices, prevent the change notices because a model numbers change. We'll get push notifications to you advising you, hey, that SC135 that you specified on your, you have in your master over the last couple of years, there's a new feature that's been added, and you should re-download your version of your masters. Additionally, it allows you to use some of the new functionality that's built into the SpecTool. So I've got a new air webinar project here where I've got no product information in here. I could use the add drawing button and click the top option to take me to that category and tile page that you're familiar with here. And again, like I mentioned, on the overall ATS system, we have something like 40, 50 brands. I think it was like 44 last I heard. We're adding new ones a couple every month, it seems. Our team are working hard to get more and more products into the system. So you can come here for your backflow. You can come here for your PTAC. You can come here for your filters, drains, and even if you're on the architectural side, you can get your partitions, grab bars, etc. But now we've got the HVAC with the ERVs and the air filters that we mentioned. You can use the search function to search by category. And then we mentioned the cross-reference tool as well. That cross-reference tool is also located here on this page. So again, if we go to that life breath example, Or did you have a model number that you know offhand, Sonny?
Yeah, you can do Max
Yeah,
XTR, yeah, that's fine. Metro 120.
yeah, we'll go with this one again. The nice thing about using it this way for the cross-reference tool, this will actually take you to that product card and that selection. So if you use the cross-reference tool to find the appropriate new air product, it'll show you exactly the product that should be included here. So we'll hit add product now, and this is going to pop that into that project file that I've already created. I'm going to skip this time because we've already walked through that a couple of times. So that's, again, what we call kind of the slow way now. That's using our cross-reference tool and all those other pieces. If you have worked with us to help set up your masters, and I'm working with, firms every day on getting these set up, you can have your masters and then ATS's templates, basically our masters. So our recommendations by application. And then you can have your internal recommendations by application. So you could have like, you might have a bank master set up. And then if you're working on community centers, you might have a different master for that. If you're working on multifamily applications, you have a different master for that. And include not just your new air ERV, but all the other products that are available within ATS. And we can even add all your alternates as well now. But you can see I've got a new air sample here. And this is why we recommend setting up those masters, because if we want to round out this project in seconds, we just drag and drop over from the approved product selection that we've added to our masters. I could go even further and use an application template. If I want to get the rest of this washroom together, I can use, I've got manual fixtures, battery fixtures, hardwired fixtures. So if I want to get bathroom together in seconds, check a few of the boxes that you need. Obviously, you'd probably spend a little bit more time making sure that these are the appropriate ones to meet your job. Drag and drop. We could do the same with our drainage. Get an improved drainage master. Get our mechanical equipment for our water heaters, our filtration, our backflow, interceptors, all that jazz. And then jump down to your HVAC section, your piping, your fire protection, and just drag and drop everything over. So in a matter of seconds, you can, especially if you set up your master appropriately, you can be working off of a current master to make sure you're never getting discontinuances. You can copy it into your project so you make sure you're getting exactly what you need for that project and it's approved. And if there's one or two products that's missing from that master, you would just then go in, add drawing, create new, and find, maybe we need to change this and upsize this ERV based on our calculations. We'd go back into the section, find the next size up model, that SE182, and update our version. Now, of course, you've got all these filters on the left as well. So if you want to, filter down by the efficiency for your SRE, if you want to filter down by your core type or the application that Sunny was breaking down, we can do so. You can search for the specific model numbers as well. And again, once you're done, hit complete, download the documents you need, and take this written information, copy and paste it directly into your spec. So that's our goal, is to make the product selection easy, help you ensure that your configuration is accurate, and then give you multiple formats that you can easily interact with and copy and paste directly, either, depending on how your firm delivers the project. Some firms these days are putting spec sheets or shop drawings directly onto directly onto their shop drawings, directly onto their floor plans. Some are taking detailed specs and putting it into a schedule and putting that on their drawings. Some are putting, a detailed written spec. And of course, everything open and editable. We can add approved alternates now as well. So if this is your basis of design and you want to include some of those other brands that are included in your standard, then we can do so, making sure that everything is truly equal, to truly accurate by using our cross-reference tool. So that's kind of where ATS is going. If you guys need help getting your master set up or anything like that, please do feel free to reach out to me. Happy to to spend some time and work with you or whoever's leading your internal masters to make sure they're reflected accurately on the spec tool. If you want more information on the new air product, if you want to have a discussion to better understand which specific products should match what's currently in your master, I'm happy to set that up between myself and Sunny. We'll meet with you and help make sure that the transition to adding new air is simple and easy. And if there's any other feedback, let us know. I did see some additional questions come in here while I was on. So, yeah, so one question on toilet seats. So feel free to reach out to me separately. We'll cover that. I don't, we can cover that separately. I'll be happy to answer your question on slow close seat covers. And then we had another question coming in on the comparison table for the sensible efficiency of different products. Do you have that internally that we could, or maybe it's something we put together with our marketing squad? I think you're muted currently, Sonny.
Comparison table available for sensible efficiency of different products. For our competitors.
I think for your products.
Oh, that's, yeah, I mean we do have a product line card that we have that will kind of give you all the information on that. So, of course, you dig into the spec, it'll be there too, right? In terms of the spec sheet.
Yeah.
The SREs, but yeah, we definitely could. We have a line card for residential, for like commercial, and for compliant that kind of goes over every product, and it's more a PDF hard copy, or or a soft copy you can have on your computer, but we can definitely provide that. It'll give you the ranges, or at least where the SRE sits, as a quick kind of quick note, right?
Yeah. And then, of course, as mentioned, that the cross-reference tool is going to have a lot of that information as well. So if you're looking for, comparison from brand to brand on the SRE, then the cross-reference tool is going to help you understand which options are available. And yeah, I guess with that all being said, if I don't see any other questions coming in, then thank you very much for the presentation, Sunny. It was a great detailed dive, and always great to see the breadth of what's available. I think people are really starting to learn more about what New Era has to offer and how we kind of fit in the marketplace with you. If anyone on the call wants a deeper dive specific for your firm, we can help set up either a lunch and learn or a one-on-one. And if you want help adding these to your masters, reach out to myself, Mo, Melanie, some of the other people that are just joining our team. We've got 2 new hires in the next little bit, so we got more people to help you as well. But feel free to reach out to us. We're happy to dive in and help set up any masters you need and questions you may have. So
yeah, and I'll second that. If there's anybody that does want a deeper dive, and I mean, you said lunch and learn, but whether it's depending where it is and how you want to do it, whether it's virtual or whatever, definitely reach out to, whether it's ATS or myself, and we'd be happy to do that for your firm and kind of get more people on board also.
yeah. So we'll have the certificates out by maybe not the end of the week, because that's tomorrow, but we're going to try our best. If not, then early next week. Thank you all for your time. Looking forward to the next ATS University, and enjoy the rest of the day. Bye for now, all.
Thanks. Yeah.